Welcome to Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversation that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys and River Ridge Hardware.
Welcome to Spokane Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese. Thank you for joining us this morning. We have a great show. Today on SheSays, host Stephanie Regalado sits down with Kathy Bryant, a board member with FeedSpokane, to share how the Food Rescue Agency works with the local food industry to contribute prepared food that would otherwise be thrown away, to provide 16,000 meals each week through nonprofit agencies who serve free meals to those in need. Find out how the organization works and what you can do to help feed Spokane's most vulnerable residents. Then, on Startup Spokane, Steve and Megan talk to Joe Gallatly, co-founder of Medcurity, about a Spokane-based startup. Medcurity provides a HIPAA compliance platform for healthcare systems, which allows them to conduct risk assessments and meet federal compliance regulations. Followed by Ed 101, K-12 environmental and sustainability education happening outside of the classroom in and around Spokane.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Welcome to Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Media. I'm your host, Steve Trabun. Joining me today is Joe Gallatly, co-founder of Medcurity. Joe, welcome, and share with our viewers a little bit about Medcurity, what it is and what you're solving.
Thank you, Steve. So Medcurity is an online tool that supports HIPAA compliance for healthcare organizations. And HIPAA it's regarding protecting patient health information, but it also has a lot of requirements and burden for healthcare providers to be sure that they're complying with. And so we've taken that into an online platform that provides them those resources they need to improve their efforts to protect patient health information.
Right, and there's a lot of regulatory compliance issues around this, and so you're sort of looking out at the regulatory landscape, and then you've built a tool that really walks these people through, these healthcare providers through a process.
Absolutely. So our solution has the current guidance, and as threats change and things change in the legislation side, we build that in. So you know that what you're working with is the current guidance, and so you can feel a little more comfortable that you're doing what you're supposed to for your organization and for your patients to protect against any type of theft or fines or all the risks out there if you're not complying.
Right, and this is a tool that they can subscribe to, right? I actually liken this to TurboTax, right? So all of us that use TurboTax, we pay a license fee on an annual basis. We do our taxes. It steps us through a process. We hit submit. We get these ginormous refunds, and you're doing the same for HIPAA compliance. Talk a little bit about that. Can't promise
a refund, Steve, but yes, and HIPAA is about as fun as taxes, and this takes it to that level, just as you described, to where you can understand what you're walking through, even if as a practice administrator or a hospital CFO, you wear 12 or 15 hats, and this is just one of them. We've put a lot into the guidance and the recommendations and the next steps to truly make it where you know what to do next in this journey.
Well, I think people now understand what it is. Let's talk about the journey of Medcurity. You started it. You actually were in healthcare consulting. You were doing this manually as a consultant with people using Excel spreadsheets, and then you came up with this idea of Medcurity. Talk a little bit about the journey of launching a business in Spokane.
Absolutely. So this was last year that we, early last year, we started sincerely looking at how do we make this a better process, and taking what is a spreadsheet process for everyone and building an online platform that allows you to do it from any device and, again, has all the guidance built in. So that definitely required development, obviously. And so we started into a Mind to Market fund to build that.
Yeah, and stay with us. We're going to come right back with Joe and talk more about Mind to Market, the program, how he got funded, and where they are next.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.
Welcome back. We're having a great conversation with Joe Gallatly with Medcurity. Joe, as we went to break, we were just talking about the Mind to Market program, which really in our community is to help people like you that have a great idea get the guidance and support they need, get some initial funding so that they can build their product. So talk a little bit about that experience for you.
Absolutely. The Mind to Market, the whole ecosystem around that fund, it's more than just money. It's an entrepreneur in residence. It's resources for the accounting portion of what you need to plan and build, the legal portion. They have a great network that they bring in and wrap around you as you prepare and consider and plan how you're going to launch your business. And so we tapped into that absolutely, and that was instrumental. So as we were not only talking to potential customers and potential partners to say, would you buy this and would this make sense? Right. We also had what we needed to build our financial projections and our company structure, and we would have spent much more time looking for resources if we found them at all. And Mind to Market really helped bring them to us.
Brought it all together and brought it to you, and it provided you with some initial funding that Medcurity used to create this progressive web application that is now the TurboTax tool, if you will, for HIPAA compliance, right?
Yeah, we received exactly what we needed to go through that development cycle to reach the minimum viable product. So we were able to ask for what we needed. We received that. We gave it all to the developers, but the developers came through on time and on budget.
And you've launched, and talk about how many customers you have and where you are and what's next in the process.
Yeah, we launched last month, and we've been fortunate to have a good number. We've had 22 locations so far using the system, which without any wide marketing, anything like that. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what we wanted, to get early feedback, which has been incredibly positive. And it's given us some good direction on where to go next.
Yeah, and this is a ginormous market, right? I mean, how big is the market? And your customers aren't just in Spokane. Talk just a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So 700,000 healthcare organizations have to comply with HIPAA. And they have 2 million vendors and associates that inherit that same requirement, meaning they have to figure out what they're supposed to be doing. And this is very relevant to them as well. So but focusing on the 700,000 across the country and solving what they need right now.
Great. Joe, you're having great success, continued success, getting ready for your seed round. Thanks for joining us on Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Media. We'll see you next time.
Next up, Ed 101 and Erik Wolfrum, K-12 environmental and sustainability education happening outside of the classroom in and around Spokane.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
And welcome to Education 101. I'm your host, Erik Wolfrum. Today we're going to be talking about our water. Sometimes the things we flush, sometimes the aquifer, our watershed, and so on. And with us today, we've got Toni Taylor, who is a water resource specialist with Spokane County and housed out at the Water Resource Center. So, Toni, welcome.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Water Resource Center.
Well, we're located adjacent to the Spokane County Regional Water Reclamation Facility, and we are at kind of Trenton Freya area in there. And yeah, we have an education center where field trips can come and learn about our water cycle, both natural water cycle, and we teach a lot about also our engineered water cycle, we call it, or human water cycle, about how we impact the natural water cycle and how we need to be cognizant, aware of the of our impact and what we can do to maybe minimize it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you guys allowed or have field trips or field experiences out there, and you said you've had about 2,200 to 2,500 kids a year. Is that right?
Through there a year and trying to grow it. So
Absolutely.
Always welcoming all ages of all classrooms, both not just a formal classroom. We have a lot of homeschool kids.
Oh,
we bring in other community groups like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, that sort of thing, to come in and learn about our local, our regional water supply, our river and aquifer.
Absolutely. And I know that you guys have the I'll call it a community room or conference center, but then you also have a lot of like hands-on things that talk about reclaiming the water, the watershed, and just a lot of different things about water.
Yeah, we'll do different activities with students depending on what the goals perhaps of their teacher might be for the trip. But bring out kind of the bells and whistles to create activities for them, so they're not just sitting, like they might in a classroom. And even as old as high school and college to show them how our chemical processes work in our facility and our biological processes, and do a little higher level activity with them as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's great. Well, one of the things that I'm pretty excited about is, as we can see out there, we've got an experiment here, and I know that it has to do with water, and maybe some different things in water. And so what I think we'll do is, why don't we take a quick break, hear a little bit from our sponsors, and then why don't we come back after that? And I'm excited to see what you brought us here today.
All right.
So we'll be right back on Education 101.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
And welcome back to Education 101. I'm your host, Erik Wolfrum, talking with Toni Taylor about water. And I'm excited for this part because I think we get to play. So talk to us. What are we doing?
Well, this is an activity we do with students when they come in, if we're talking about wastewater with them, which that's what we do at the reclamation facility, clean wastewater.
Yeah.
And that's indoor water. And so kids love talking about what they flush and don't flush, and it's always kind of a funny topic for kids. But we have some items here we'll put into the water. So here we have Charmin toilet paper, and that's only to show that it's a softer, thicker toilet paper. It typically has a little more chemicals in it, and the water will get cloudier when we shake it up. It shows them that's different than maybe a less expensive toilet paper. Then with paper towels, we really show that paper towels don't break up. We shake
Not at all.
Yeah, we shake these bottles, and so we don't want paper towels put down the toilet. The toilet paper is okay, of course, but we just show them the difference between toilet papers. And then Kleenex, people are always surprised about. We don't want that put down the toilet.
I've always heard that.
Yeah, it doesn't break up hardly at all. And of course, Kleenex or any other tissue, they don't want you to they're making it tough for a purpose, right? So you can blow your nose. But we don't want that flush because it's something that doesn't break up in the system. And then flushable wipes, and we like to put that in quotes actually. They sell it as flushable, yes.
Yes.
But we
I was
really
gonna
don't
say,
want
it doesn't really
flushed.
break down.
And it doesn't break down at all. And also there's a foam on top you can see from various chemicals, perfumes, lotions in it. And that's also hard. The invisible things are hard for us to get out of the water, which we just kind of refer to as chemicals. So we never want a flushable, quote, wipe put down our toilet. So it's just a lesson we do with them, and the kids all get to shake those, and they really find it interesting, as do adults, actually.
Right, and it's fascinating. You know, I've heard these things all growing up through my life, but to be able to see it in person is pretty amazing. So, Toni, thanks for being here. You know, these are the types of things that people get the opportunity to do down at the Water Resource Center. And so if you're interested in finding out more about it, contact Toni at the Water Resource Center. Thanks for joining us on Education 101.
Next up, FeedSpokane, serving 16,000 meals a week.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.
Hello, welcome to She Says. I'm Stephanie Regalado with Kathy Bryant, a board member of FeedSpokane. You're also an amazing realtor in our community, specializing in seniors and older adults, and you do incredible work there.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. It's such an important job that you do. But FeedSpokane is also an incredibly important organization that really I feel is on the rise, even though it's been around since 2007 as a nonprofit. What can you tell us a little bit about the basics of what FeedSpokane does?
FeedSpokane takes food, rescues food from restaurants or caterers that would otherwise be thrown away, and brings it to our warehouse where we distribute to different coalition members from churches and different community,
like House of Charity,
and Cup of Cool Water and places like that, that they come on Mondays and get the food and distribute it to their people.
And this is food that is prepared but not served.
Correct.
That otherwise is perfectly fine.
That's correct.
That is being thrown away. And we don't even know truly how many pounds of food is being thrown away and the dollar value a year in our community. But the value of what you save on a very small level, because you have about 12 to 14 or 13 partners
right now.
And how much last year was?
Last year we saved 192,000 pounds, which totals about $365,000 in, the value of the food that would have been thrown away.
Right. And it's protected under the Good Samaritan Act.
It's the federal Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act.
Okay. So it's protected, and you guys do all the training for anyone associated who's touching the food, flash freezing it, keeping it safe until it goes to
the coalition.
To the coalition. You have about 20 coalition members.
That's correct.
And it's providing how many meals a week?
16,000.
16,000 meals a week.
Yeah, right. 16,000 people are being fed a week that would otherwise go hungry.
And the food would otherwise just be in the trash.
That's correct.
Well, we know that they say 25% of inland Northwest families with children are living below the poverty level. 30% of single moms are under the poverty level or, living under the poverty level. And this is just the 16,000 meals, even though it sounds like, and it's an extraordinary amount, and it is, but it's still just a tiny scratch on the surface.
If you think about all the restaurants in Spokane that there are, and we are only getting this food.
Thank you for tuning in to She Says. I'm Stephanie Regalado with Kathy Bryant. Kathy, this is a passion project for you because this stems from your experiences a long time ago as a single mom. Can you share what that was like?
Sure.
What you went through?
Yeah, I had 3 small children when I was single, very young. I was in my 20s, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to feed them.
And you were working.
I was working, but we were definitely food insecure. Of course, that word wasn't around back then, but it is now, and that is what I was. I went to Salvation Army. I gleaned food however I could for my children, and always swore that if someday I ever was in a position to be able to give back and be able to help somebody else who was in the position I was then, and then I came across FeedSpokane. And
and one of the things I love about FeedSpokane is that it's providing those basic needs, because when people are working from a space of survival, hunger, survival mode, they aren't able to,
well, you can't
pick
process
themselves up.
Yeah,
and
you can't process. You can't.
Children struggle in school when they
Right.
don't have their meals. There's so many reasons why just that basic human need should be met. Particularly, oh my Lord, how grotesque is it to think about how much food is actually just thrown in the trash and wasted?
It's just totally breaks my heart. It just saddens me all the time to think about all that food that's thrown away.
Yeah. How can people become involved to support FeedSpokane?
Well, restaurants can participate.
Yes.
They can give us a call. We will show them how easy it is for them to donate the food that they would otherwise be throwing in the garbage.
Yeah.
The public can decide that they want to make FeedSpokane their passion project, and they can come down to the warehouse and help with the coalitions. There's a lot they can go pick up the food at the restaurants. There's a lot of different ways that they can become active with FeedSpokane.
Yeah, and you do accept monetary donations as well, because that helps you bridge the gap of proteins, buying proteins in particular, since a lot of what comes in is pastries and
that's right.
bread. But it's amazing what they're giving you. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. I recommend you check out feedspokane.org and become involved as FeedSpokane. Thanks for tuning in.
Cindy Hval is a freelance columnist and correspondent for the Spokesman Review and author of War Bonds, Love Stories from the Greatest Generation. The view from her porch is usually sunny.
Gender issues, bathrooms, and the laws that govern public restroom use can be heated political topics. Not for me. I don't care who uses what bathroom, as long as they put the seat down when they're done. I recently had dinner at a pub with unisex bathrooms. When I went to use the facilities, I found the previous user had left the seat up. This did not make me happy. In our house, we have a strict seat-down policy. I was the chief toilet trainer for our 4 sons. I made sure my boys understood proper bathroom etiquette. Lift the seat up before you go, wipe up any messes or misses, put the seat down, and wash your hands before you leave the bathroom. For my husband, it was a matter of aesthetics. Who wants to look at toilet water, he said. They come with lids for a reason. However, this simple logic fails to persuade some men. When I posted about this on Facebook, one guy said, "Why should men be the only ones to touch a toilet seat?" Another friend said, "You should leave the toilet however you found it." While another guy said, "Women should leave the seat up for men." Listen, no toilet comes from the manufacturer with the seat up. It comes with the seat and the lid down. This is the natural position of a toilet. Everyone knows this. In our house, the lid down rule became strictly enforced after we adopted our cat Thor. Thor loves water. Nothing makes him happier than a good splash on the toilet. But this is messy and unhygienic, and none of us feels like finding out if Thor can swim. The whole exchange got me fired up. Flushed with the support of most of my social media network, I have vowed to speak up should the issue arise again. If you're using a unisex restroom, please leave the seat down out of courtesy to the ladies who may follow. Otherwise, I may follow you and point out your lack of bathroom etiquette. I'm not taking this behavior sitting down. And that's the view from my front porch.
Thanks for joining us this episode of Spokane Talks. Please join us again next week for more news, views, and conversation.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Spokane Talks is about you. Give us your feedback and comments at info@SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys and Rada Paint. We'll be back next week with additional news, views, and conversations. Please join us. So long for now.